Hi everybody, I'm James from Apteco. Thank you very much for joining this session. I expected to be presenting in a busy exhibition hall with lots of noise, lots of stands and the buzz of being together in a trade show, but with COVID lockdown, obviously that's not possible. So I'm in my office in Warwick, presenting on my own. I guess you guys are either in your offices or at home, but thank you either way for joining my session. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to cover how we're entering the age of artificial intelligence, and particularly what that means for marketers. It's a special time, recognizing the new normal and thinking about how we're going to use technology to help us through that new normal. Just a quick introduction. I'm James Alty, Managing Director of a British software business called Apteco. We produce the Apteco Marketing Suite. It's a range of software for understanding insight and taking action around your customer base and marketplace data. I'm going to be leading you through this topic today, built on the research of my colleagues and feedback from our customers. At the end, we'll take a chance to handle questions with you. So, even before the COVID-19 lockdown, marketers were facing a challenge. We were facing the challenge of data, the huge volumes of data that are collected these days by every organization, whether it's not-for-profit or financial services business. We all have the choice of masses of data to work with. And our marketplaces are working with more channels, always looking at new ways to engage with organizations and with brands. And as a result, marketers in those brands needed to handle challenges of channel. We need to be agile to understand new channels that are growing, particularly in social, and make sure our organization can react quickly enough to adopt those channels, learn about them, and engage with the audience in those channels. And different businesses and different sectors, of course, have dominant channels, but marketers were facing a challenge of how to use those channels and how to react to customer behavior. Customer behavior was changing already. The expectation of service, the expectation of personalization, the expectation of agility from every brand was a challenge. And then COVID happened, and COVID gave us a hyperspeed leap forward on the expectations and the change rate, both in our businesses and our organizations and in the marketplace. And that hyperspeed change has presented every organization with new challenges. One of my colleagues described it the other day by saying, every model in every organization needs rebuilding. What a challenge for marketers. And of course, in 2020, we've seen massive change in behavior. We've changed fundamentals of how we're trading, how we're interacting, how we're using brands and connecting with them. You can see some of the stats here. 20% rise in global e-commerce sales, driven by that wish of consumers and businesses to engage directly with the brand, to purchase directly from them. 60% reduction in footfall in some areas, a real challenge to the high street, which certainly in the UK, where I'm speaking from, was challenged already, changing patterns of use of brands and bricks and mortar, really emphasised and brought forward by the COVID lockdown. And still growth of channels, the WhatsApp channel that widely used, seeing 40% growth in brand interaction, brands choosing to use those channels, use those platforms to build new engagement with their customer base and marketplace. So marketers were facing a challenge, let alone the downturn inherent in some of that change, that the fact that marketers are naturally wanting to sell, but the consumers are actually needing to protect their resources. People are unsure of their employment, unsure of the economy, unsure of the economic activity that they are normally involved with, and so choosing to keep their money, not do those discretionary purchases. And so to get a brand that can grow, a brand that can engage, an organization that will be successful, we really have to be adaptable. We have to be agile. We have to be prepared to rethink our activity in the light of the COVID lockdown. And what does that mean? Well, of course, as marketers, we're going to need technology to help us. We're going to need technology that can help interpret the mass of data that our organizations are creating. We need technology that can help us build new insights and use those insights to create campaigns. And nowadays, it's not possible for a marketer to scale to all the segments and all the treatments and all the campaigns that are needed. You can't do it individually. You can't do it on a human scale. What we need is technology to help us. And one of the ways that technology can help us is artificial intelligence. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So there's a gap in artificial intelligence usage. At Apteco, we operate a data trends report each year. And in our data trends report in 2020, we found that 3/4 of marketers believe in AI. They believe that AI will help them build marketing segments. They believe that AI will help them choose when to send, how to communicate, which channel to use. Those ideas are now natural for marketers. Most marketers believe in them. But when we look at how marketers are actually using AI, only 1/4 of them are actually doing it currently. So there's a big gap. 3/4 believe in it, 1/4 are delivering it. What's the difference? Why is the gap? I think it's because it's a scary topic. It's a bit unknown. It feels like something that's a huge step up from where we are now. But actually, by breaking down the approach to AI into smaller steps, breaking it down into more natural processes that marketers are familiar with, learning that it's an increment on top of the things that we already do, we can make it less of a leap, less scary, more approachable for marketers. And certainly it can help as we come out of COVID, as we look at release and recovery from the lockdown, then AI can help us. So you might feel unsure about what exactly is AI. And of course, it's all sorts of things. There are many techniques, many products, lots of services that are classified around AI. But in essence, it's the ability to make machines perform human-like tasks, to allow us to use servers to achieve apparent intelligent behavior. It's allowing us to take data, to build insight, but then to make decisions on that data. That's what AI is like. Some of you will know the British mathematician Alan Turing, a code breaker at Bletchley Park in the Second World War, but also the man who defined the Turing test, which said if a recipient in a conversation down a wire cannot tell if what he or she is communicating with is a man or a woman or a machine, then actually that machine must be intelligent. If a human can't tell the difference, that's the Turing test. And we don't need to get to the full capabilities of a Turing test to get benefit from AI. But think of it as making decisions for us, giving human-like behavior. And AI dates right back. Simple logic decision trees to start with, building into mathematical rule sets, building into the neural networks that developed in the 1990s and are still widely used today and still becoming more and more powerful, and which are available free of charge through Python and R libraries, which you can use to connect to data sets and produce fantastic, powerful solutions in your organization. And we'll talk a little bit about how you might do that during today's session. So it's a long trade. It's been developed over many years. It's a science that has come out of the computer science sector, obviously using maths theories as well. But it's a computer science discipline that has been developed over some years. And you may well know and hear the phrase machine learning and AI together. They're often mentioned in the same sentence. They can be seen as complementary. Actually, I see it more as a spectrum, all the way from statistics as we use now, and which humans use to try to understand patterns, to understand behavior, to understand and make decisions about customer base and marketplace behavior. Machine learning builds on that and AI builds on machine learning. So there's a spread, and actually there's quite often a blur or a blurring between those different techniques, with vendors presenting stats as machine learning and machine learning as AI. But I don't think it matters. I don't think you need to get too hung up on, is this true AI or is it machine learning? What matters is that you choose techniques that are effective for your organization. Machine learning, you can think of your servers using the mass of data and the power of algorithms to create and understand features from patterns. Well, certainly to create the features, and maybe you can think of the AI as adding that understanding. Taking the features of the data that have been identified through machine learning and turning those into decisions about marketing action in our sector, particularly action about what to send, how to send it, when to send it. That's the AI part, making the decision on top of the machine learning. So we can use masses of data. I think a neat way of thinking about it is machine learning can use all the data about every campaign you've ever done. If your organization still knows that data, it can be used, it can be fed into the machine learning processes. Millions and billions of rows of data used to help identify the patterns, which then produce the features of behavior that AI can work with, and use those AI decisions to drive your marketing activity. So masses of data is a benefit here, not just a challenge. Those terabytes of data we spoke of earlier, actually, that's what you need. That's what you want to work on in your organization to power these techniques. And by adding AI onto your machine learning, we get that essence of the decision making. Now, of course, AI can help in a variety of ways. It can help you detect further patterns, further information, further features of the behavior of your customers and their marketplace on top of what the machine learning features have identified. But I think the most significant point in the AI is deciding, using an apparently intelligent decision about what to send, how to send it, when to send it, whether to run this campaign, even perhaps the creation of a whole campaign under an AI structure. And we will have various stages that we go through in creating AI, from the first baby steps of using machine learning and finding features, to then using AI within guardrails, making sure it's not able to step out of the space that you as a human marketer might drive your processes. Eventually, with confidence, turning that into a fully autonomous marketing AI, which you trust to campaign on your behalf, to present your brand, to identify and service the individuals that you are reaching. And of course, AI can continue to develop. It's not a single step process. It's not a one shot, get it right 100% of the time, first time. Of course you won't. And of course the AI won't. You won't have the right techniques. You won't have the right data. You won't have detected all the right features. And so it's a continuing process. And actually, as we'll see, this is where you as a human marketer involved in the AI process can bring your inspiration and guidance and fresh creative thinking to guide the AI, to keep it evolving to the benefit of your brands, to the benefit of your organization, so that you're doing a better job communicating with your marketplace. And that automation is a great part of what AI is offering us. We saw a statistic this year that 2/3 of marketers are more stressed than a year ago. The brand is turning to the marketing team to say, okay, how do we grow? How do we engage? How, as we come out of this economic shock of COVID-19, do we get back to working in the new normal? No, we don't need stressed marketers. We need engaged, enthused, fresh marketers. And so the automation, the AI techniques are crucial to us. We need to help marketers, like I imagine other parts of our organizations, cope with the change. And there's many ways we can do that. Here's a few of them. We can use AI to look at prospect targeting, so acquisition marketing, thinking about and finding those parts of the marketplace that are useful for acquisition. We'll see more in a minute. We can look at contact scheduling, determining when and how we're going to communicate with an individual. How will we invite them to build a conversation with the brand? How can we use the right channel for that individual? We can drive tests and we can automate tests. And those tests may be as simple as an A/B test between two treatments, but they can be continuous, evolving tests that monitor and track the change in the customer base behavior. And of course, we can look for optimization, a classic use of AI, where the challenges for an individual human marketer looking at the data are too great, the scale is too great, the detail is too great to allow us to make a campaign optimization. But we can use the power of the AI with our server or servers to optimize our communication. So in prospect targeting, what about thinking of how we create relevant messages? How do we lay out those messages? How do we form the creative content that the human marketers have produced into the messages that best acquire new customers for our brand? How can we subdivide the prospect marketing for acquisition into more micro segments that are treated more personally, more often, more appropriately using the AI technique, or the AI tools? It's a great way to drive the marketing engine, is to feed it with new acquisition data and develop techniques in AI that will allow you to do the best treatment learned over time with machine learning and massive data to build the treatment for your new prospective customers. In optimization, think about that as a constant process. We don't just get the campaign right and leave it alone. Of course not. As soon as we do, we're falling back compared with our colleagues and our competitors. So the AI can be monitoring, reading the raw data, building the features, creating from those features insight, and from the insight making decisions about campaigns. And every iteration, every day and every hour of those campaigns can be used to improve that behavior. We can think about how we deliver that, how we constantly challenge the current normal and try to adjust to a better way of doing the work without human intervention. The AI will give us the ability to refine and tune and improve what we're doing all of the time. Part of that might be scheduling. We hear that 80% of customers are more likely to purchase from brands who provide true personalization. And I don't mean Dear Mr. Smith, I mean full personalization of every aspect of the brand, using AI to determine the channel, the product, the price point, the treatment, the layout, the timing. All of those things go into making a truly personal conversation with your marketplace, with your individual customers. Each of those customers wants to feel as if you've put a loving arm around their shoulders and you're looking after their interests as they engage with your brand, whether it's a transactional purchase or a major life stage purchase. Actually, they want the great experience. They want the brand that loves them, gives them a feeling of loyalty that they can repay over years and years to come. So making sure you're building the right personal experience every time using AI, even if you're dealing with millions of customers. And of course, the use of automation extends to chatbots and digital techniques. Our data trends report in 2020 showed nearly 50%, nearly half of marketers are interested to use chatbots. Why? Because it's accepted, because customers would prefer to interact with the chatbot now out of business hours and get an answer, get a service call started, get an upgrade requested, than have to wait till tomorrow morning and try to get through to a service desk that is busy or not available at the time. So let's use them. Let's make that technology available. Let's give the chatbot AI all of the guidance we can to represent your brand, to represent your products, to allow you to offer service through the chatbot. And it's not difficult. Those technologies are available off the shelf now, not from Apteco, as it happens. Those are things you will get from other vendors. But bring that data into our platforms will help you understand the behavior, help you do more with it. And think of AI not as a threat, but as an opportunity. It's not a threat to your position. It's not a machine that will replace you. Instead, it's going to take away drudgery. It's going to give you reach. It's going to allow you to operate in the scale of the data that your organization has and needs. It's going to free you up to what you do best. It's going to allow you to be creative. It's going to allow you to commission and control and arrange the marketing processes to the best effect for your not-for-profit or your brand or your trading, whichever it is that you are working in. So the AI tools we're talking about here are not going to replace you. No way. But they will allow you to do a better job. They will allow you to engage more accurately in the activity as the COVID release comes back, as the economic activity picks up. And so in that release, we'll be looking at how agile is the organization? How quickly can we detect the changes in new normal? New normal isn't fixed. It's not determined now and steady for the next 5 years. Nothing like. It'll continue to change as countries and regions and sectors have different COVID experiences. So we need to be agile. We need to get hold of that data quickly, identify the activity in that data, find the segments. Remember, as I said near the beginning, every model in every organization needs changing, and it's not going to sit still. It's going to move fast. We need to find those segments. We need to build those models, and we need to engage with our customers through each of the appropriate channels that we can reach. So how can Apteco help? Well, with a slight pun on the acronym, we've built into our suite Apteco Intelligence, our own AI, and it's a range of different types of technologies, different product capabilities that will enhance your marketing capabilities, allow you to react to the COVID changes. And of course, as an individual, it gives you value to your employer. You as a person can do a better job in your marketing role, in your analytics role, using technology that gives you the power to understand and act on what we have now. The parts of that, perhaps our best known product is Apteco Fast Stats. It's an insight platform. It has huge power across wide-ranging big data for both analysts and marketers alike to understand behavior, to find behavioral features, to look at the characteristics of consumers or firms and businesses, to allow you to build the data handles that will be useful. And within that, we have both machine learning and AI techniques that you can use to automate that process, as I have described, to allow you to really engage with your market. And the second part, where we take action from the insight we have created, is called Apteco People Stage. It's the multi-channel, multi-wave, multi-user online platform that will allow you to deploy that huge array of insights and all of the actions that I've talked about across many genres of channel, from traditional to the newest social. Doesn't matter. We can engage with those platforms, with those channels, and put your AI to practical use. And again, in here, we have AI techniques. And these are some of them, just to give you an idea. How about automating through AI the choice of the best offer for each individual? Not just a product, but taking into account the details of everything about the individual, their history with the brand, their life stage, their current engagement with you, their segment, their status, the marketplace behavior, the product information. All of that can come in an automated process. You don't want to think about what's the best product to offer somebody. Of course, you can't do it, but the AI in the Apteco suite can do it. Secondly, how about automating your testing? Allowing us with our automated alternatives mechanism to run continuous champion challenger testing across multiple treatments across all of your campaigns to allow you to understand where the marketplace expectation or behavior has changed so that you can then give a better treatment. It happens automatically. In the software, it's presented as a tick box. It's that easy to turn on. You can engage an AI in the Apteco platform by ticking a box and asking the system to take care of that for you. Third one is campaign optimization. You now have the choice of designing multiple customer journeys that can be used whenever it's appropriate for each individual. Those customer journeys are available all the time. The AI in the Apteco suite will determine which is the best customer journey for each individual at any time. When that individual is ready for another engagement, when we judge through the models and scoring and AI decisions that's the right moment, we can start them on another journey with your brand. Again, a case of ticking a box, choosing the parameters, and off we go. It's not difficult to do. And across the whole of your testing, you can be looking at prioritizing and managing testing more effectively. Don't bring that data to your human marketers. They can't cope with it. They have too many other things to do. Instead, use the AI in the software to manage that testing for you. So, with Apteco Intelligence, with our AI, you can be more attentive to your customers, more responsive to your customers, and more agile as a marketing team. Part of what we need in the COVID release. Our technology, of course, won't replace you. It will set you free. It will give you more power to achieve what your brand and your organization needs. Don't think of it as a threat. Think of it as an opportunity. Now, to learn more about Apteco or to book a demo with us, come to apteco.com/book a demo. And after the session, we'll hold a Q&A. And if you have questions you'd like to ask, please engage. We'll be happy to help you. I'm James Alty. If you're interested to engage further, my contact details are on the screen. Thank you very much for attending from wherever you are. Stay safe. Thank you.